Hi, Teresa. Thank you for joining me today on our Women in STEM series. Um, Teresa, so you work for Chase, don't you? So I thought it'd be great for you to just give a bit of an introduction to yourself and tell us about yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa Wu. I've been working in IT for like 10 years. Actually, IT isn't my first degree. I studied business management and accounting to begin with. Then I switched to IT and did a master degree in IT, not computer science. Then I moved into the field. In the past, I've been working mostly in the front-end industry and in fintech. I might then join Chase, again, continuing my fintech adventure. So really glad to be here and share my experience with everyone.
Thank you so much. And what made you actually take the change, to step into technology? What was it that kind of appealed to you?
Yeah, wow. Knowing a bit of financial and accounting background actually helps. And my first job is in a pharmaceutical company and doing a bit of IT role and data analyst role. Is a bit of combination. And I've been motivated by a lady engineer in my team as well. She's been telling me her job. We had a few lunch and she convinced me to actually give it a try at the time. And then I give it a try and it ends up like everything worked out. I mean, it's I'm not saying everyone should change a career in between, but if you feel like this is something that you found interesting, give it a try. As for myself, I didn't set up a very big plan of I have to be of this type of engineer or this is my role. I just to begin with give a simple try of writing a very simple JavaScript and a Java code and for me to understand if I'm able to pick up this skill or not. Just start small and see how it goes.
No, I think that's great advice. Thank you for that. And obviously, like you said, you've had a very varied and impressive career as well. What are you most proud of in your career so far?
Um, I like my job, and things we are building right now in Chase is very fascinating. And also, I do see like many people are using it, using the product we built. I went to conference, I went to talk to my friends, and I went to social community events. When I introduce myself as I'm working as an engineer in Chase, UK, I hear a lot of very positive feedback
Mhm.
of actually I've been using this app daily, or I'm actually switching to this bank. This actually made me very proud of the product I'm using because I see people actually are very engaging into it.
hmm No, I think that's fair enough. And yeah, I mean, after working with you guys as well, I ended up banking with Chase as well. So yeah, and I find actually a lot of the candidates I talk to, a lot of them do tend to bank with Chase. So I think being instrumental in building something like that is something to be really proud of, isn't it? So no, I get that. Thank you. And obviously, what kind of challenges have you faced throughout your career, especially, your experience in a male-dominated environment? What challenges have you overcome as part of that?
Um, I mean, this topic is something that we probably came across with, and we probably mention a lot, talk a lot. From my own experience, I think it's as important, right? As like first, yeah, you need to build up your tech skill.
hmm
Don't let yourself stay on the weak side because we are less advantaged group, or you think you're coming from a weaker background. Building up your career is very important. Doesn't matter which field you are in at the moment. Doesn't matter if you are in tech or in another field, which is more another type of male dominate field. Build up your career, continue, right? You definitely there is some like a very difficult moment.
hmm
At the same time, don't just focus on your daily role. You build up your career in your job, also outside your job.
hmm
I'm not saying don't concentrate on your day-to-day job, right? But if you're in IT, and this is probably the one of the very best moment, like there's so many community
hmm
events, groups you can join, either to share your knowledge, your experience as a mentor, or you can actually ask people who are more experienced in those community to be your mentor. So expand your network, see what others is doing, keep update of the latest technology. Don't be
hmm
afraid of it. Um, that's probably it from my very own experience.
No, I get that. And do you know, I've had a lot of people as well tell me that they had mentors and that helped massively. So no, that seems to be something that is echoed throughout. So that's something I tend to advise kind of women that are earlier on in their career or even starting out in management, get a mentor, speak to someone who's been there and done it and can give you advice, coaching, etc., and just kind of hold your hand through it. So
Yeah,
yeah, that seems to be what a lot of people have said as well. So
yeah.
that's really helpful. Thank you. And as a whole, do you think we're doing enough to help get girls and women into the technology industry and actually stay in it?
I think actually I'm on the positive side. I actually have a lot of support in this
Mhm,
way. I would say yes for your
mhm,
question. I mean, I don't mean it's enough, right? But I do see lots of pushes and support and help in everywhere in IT industry at the moment
mhm,
for younger female students or female beginners, right? Juniors to step into IT. But to answer your question of how we engage them to stay, that's
mhm,
another step, another level. Because I do see people dropping in their career to move on to a different branch, but it again depends on what you prefer. Some people stays in IT as engineer and then move down to product, which is
mhm,
brilliant. And in IT, right, there will be a time in your career you might have to decide either you want to stay as IT expert
mhm,
to develop more in your tech skill and become expertise in your area, or become a T-shaped engineer to expand your knowledge, or you have to decide either you move on to management. This
mhm,
applies to every engineers, right? Doesn't matter if we are female or male. At this point, um, if you are facing this career change or career progression, however you decide, right? Doesn't matter. Like if you decide to go into management, you still have time or chance to switch back to a different
mhm.
role if you find this is not suitable for me. But yeah, sorry, to answer your question in the
No,
first
no,
one, yes, I
no.
think there's actually lots of opportunity here and the support
Mhm.
to actually help you to start engaging into the field and to stay. Doesn't matter which branch you choose.
No, I agree. And I think on the flip side as well, because I think we're seeing more women enter technology from a young age, but it's just the battle trying to get people to stay within it because we see a lot of women leaving after the age of 35. And
Mhm.
I think if say for example a woman goes off and has a baby, we have to sacrifice a lot more than the men do, don't we? And I think actually if you can offer a flexible working, hybrid working and things like that, then I think this will stop women leaving the industry after the age of 35. They don't have to choose between having, children or having a career in tech. And I think, if we can have a bit more flexibility, hopefully that should stop people leaving the industry. Because a
Yeah.
lot of women I talk to, that is the main reason they go, is they just say, I can't be a mum and have this career because I'm required in the office 5 days a week. And, I think if you can flex and let people pick children up, drop children up from work, not just the women, the men
Mhm.
as well, kind of encourage that equal share of responsibilities, then we won't need to do this as much. But there's still a lot of work to be done, isn't there? But there are things being done at the moment and things being put in process to help that, which is good. So yeah,
I
we just
think
need to keep
that's
doing that.
sorry. I
Mm,
think that actually that would be your advantage of being IT because you
mm,
can actually having more flexible working hour. And
yes.
this issue with women drop their career because of family reasons, it doesn't happen just in IT, it's among all industry.
Hmm.
But for some industry, you might have to be in office daily,
Hmm.
depending on the job. Actually, in IT, this is the advantage, in my opinion. You can have more flexible working hours. Depends on
Hmm.
how you negotiate this with your team. And I noticed female are more like reserved or more how do I put this in the right way? Forgive me for my English, right?
No,
Maybe
you're
they're
fine.
scared of asking for changes of their role because of their own family plan. For example, I need to maybe ask to work from home 4 days a week, for example,
Hmm.
right? Because family, instead of working in the office 4 days a week.
Hmm.
So yeah, don't just leave your job because you think this can't be done. Be
Mm.
brave and talk to your manager, talk to your people team, and see how they can support you. Because there are so many policies right now to help everyone, right? Not just female engineer, even for a new parent for a male,
Hmm.
you can actually get some flexible working hours arrangements.
Mm.
But
No, I
you have
agree.
just have to ask.
No, I agree. And even with some of these companies where they say, look, we are 4 days on site, as a standard working practice, rather than, like you said, just leaving, ask that question because they can make special, exemptions for people, can't they? So, no, I
Yeah.
think that's some great advice. And, obviously you've been in the industry for a while now, but how do you think the industry has changed since you joined?
Um, so for myself, when I step into IT, I'm actually one of the very few female engineers. Even for my computer science course, I'm one of the only female in my
Oh,
class.
wow.
But this definitely has changed a lot. For example, for any social engagement I had outside the work or within work, I see the percentage of having more female engineers in a team and in the community of tech community are increasing. The ratio changed. And yeah, I do see actually, I'm not saying we've done enough or will be the end of it. We are still improving, but I see the change applied already through those years.
No, that's good. No, and yeah, also, I think there's been positive changes in the industry, definitely. I think we're seeing a record number of girls actually studying STEM subjects at university and college and things like that. So that's really positive, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we are definitely seeing a lot more women enter the industry.
Mhm.
And what piece of advice do you wish? Because you obviously mentioned you've had mentors and things like that. So what piece of advice do you wish someone gave you at the beginning of your career? Or, was there a piece of advice you were given that you still remember today as being really valuable?
Uh, I've been actually given a lot of advice of how to move on with your career.
Hmm.
That's something I'm not very sure. For myself, I was struggling a bit at a time where I should continue to stay in the expert field, the IT engineering field, or should I switch my role completely to become an engineer manager? That was
Hmm.
before I joined Chase. I actually talked to people. I consulted with more experienced engineers in the field.
Hmm.
The advice you receive from them varies, right? It's
Hmm.
from their experience. I mean, those are very good advice, and it all depends on what you think is best for you. I mean,
Hmm.
even for mentor, I'm not saying like that these are not useful, they are super useful, but
Hmm.
just my advice when I talk to people giving mentorship to them, I always say this is my advice. This is my experience I get from my life.
Hmm.
I'll share with you, but just don't take my opinion as this is the right solution for you.
Hmm. Well, Chase are quite good, aren't they, with the diversity and actually increasing the presence of women in the business. And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some shocking adverts before as an attempt to try and increase diversity, and I think this is just not how you do it. And I think these companies as well can take positive steps. It's even how you write job adverts. That there are statistics that say that and I'm the same, if I've ever looked at a job advert, if I don't tick every single box on that advert, I won't apply because I think I can't do the job. Whereas a man will look at that and think, I tick 2 out of these 10 boxes and I'll apply anyway. And I think we just don't have that level of confidence, do we? So I think even the way in which you write adverts can help, if they're a bit more vague and you kind of say in there, look, even if you don't tick every box,
Mm,
apply because we look for people with different skill sets and people who can bring different things to the table. And I think even just simple wording of how you say
mm,
things, having women on interview panels, and things like that. I think stuff like this can help increase the number of women that are actually interested in your company. So
mhm.
it's just, you don't have to reinvent the wheel or do anything major. It's just small steps, isn't it, that you can do to make it a more inclusive and attractive place for women.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess, what challenge have you overcome when hiring female colleagues within Chase? Is there any reoccurring themes or challenges that do come up when you're trying to hire more women?
Um, in general, we actually want to attract more female engineers in the industry. I don't think it's just within Chase. I think
Yes.
right now I can see, right? But the problem is not at application process. It's when how to attract more people to apply. Same
Hmm.
as what you address is maybe some female engineers, right? When they look at the job advert, they just being scared away from the job description straight away.
Yeah.
The job description itself has to be more neutral, attract people from different group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, address on the tech side, also mention a bit of soft skill. That's where people from different background have different advantage with. And it's not just the tech skill we need in a team. It's a combination of your team skill, how you work with people in your team, your soft skill, how you approach your ideas, how you share ideas. And then again, of course, very importantly, your tech skill. The job advert has to apply, has to add in those considerations altogether. There was actually a problem, I think, in everywhere. Like when you put a job advert outside, you have a higher percentage
Mm-hmm.
of male applications comparing to the ratio of female engineering applications. So
Mm-hmm.
as in terms of the role, I think we should provide equal opportunity for all, for everyone, right? We shouldn't discriminate any group, even like we shouldn't discriminate a male group because they just have a
Yes.
higher percentage. But how do we attract more people to apply? That
Mm-hmm.
should be something like we probably address first. So we have a good foundation of application, then it's down to your selection process.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's yeah, and that's accurate, isn't it? And I think, it's even things like removing biases from CVs, isn't it? Because I had one client before who said, look, we'd actually rather just take names, years of university and things like that off CV, so there is no bias when reviewing CVs. And I think that's always a way to overcome it. But then on the flip side, if you're kind of doing that and actually everyone in the shortlist is then men, it's kind of
Mm.
negative as well, isn't it? So it's just trying to work out a way to properly do it and make it inclusive for everyone, isn't it? And also
Yeah,
addressing the pay gap. Um,
yeah.
we are seeing that slowly begin to close, but yeah, I think I speak to so many women who find out they were paid less than their male counterparts for doing the same job. And I had a situation historically where I worked somewhere and I found out that a man at the same level of me with the same experience was paid more than me. And
Mhm.
we openly discussed this. And I sort of pulled my manager aside and just said, look, can you justify the difference in my pay? Am I less valuable than him?
Mm,
Is there things that I'm not doing that he is? And actually, they didn't have an answer. And lo and
mm,
behold, my pay was then increased shortly after that conversation. I think, my advice to women who know that they're being paid less than their male counterparts and feel that that is not, a fair representation. I'm like, speak to
mm,
someone, don't be afraid to actually have that difficult conversation, because what's the worst that can happen? If your manager turns around and says, well, actually, yes, because they have been doing X, Y, and Z, and you're not up to speed in these areas, you
mm,
can then say, okay, we'll put something in place to get me up to speed then.
mm.
And if they can't answer that question, then you know that actually it's probably just because it's unfair and something needs to be resolved. But I think never be afraid to actually ask that
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
I think it's always quite a good thing to do. And what advice, obviously, you're sort of a leader in your field, but what other advice would you give to any other women who are starting out in management?
So for me, management is as difficult as
Yes.
building up tech. Management requires you to have both tech expertise and
Mhm.
people skills.
Mm.
So allow yourself to make mistake, right? Don't
Yes.
judge too much of yourself. Actually, when you're entering the field, give some time for you to learn. Same as how we learned to build up a software. We create a code at the same time we create a bugs. This
Hmm.
will apply same to your when you go to management branch of allow yourself to make mistake and don't blame too much on yourself.
Hmm.
Always think how to improve the process instead of correct your own mistake because we're
Yes.
all humans, right? I do see a lot of time when we make a mistake. Like for example, I create a bug in a code, I can quickly fix it, right?
Hmm.
But when we actually enter in management field and we maybe made the wrong decision in hiring, made the wrong decision in terms of other people management, this might have a bigger impact, right?
Mm,
And you might hear the feedback straight away from your colleague or from within your team. In that moment, don't blame yourself. Just focus on correcting the process.
hmm No, I agree. And I think give yourself grace as well. You know, you can't get it right every time, can you? Um, and yeah, no, I agree. I think that's some great advice. So no, thank you. Well, look, thank you for joining me on here and doing this interview. I do really appreciate it. So yeah, thanks so much for your time, Teresa.
Thank you, and thank you for listening to this podcast as well. And hope everyone have a great time.
Thank you.